Live. All right. Today we are going to be. Oh, hey, we have a special guest. I'm so used to being here by myself.
Oh,
Who are you?
me? I'm Michael Yanulavich, and I very occasionally write for the comics Multiverse.
Yeah, me too. These days. So today we are going to be discussing whether or not a New York Comic-Con will happen or if it should happen. And we have a few special guests on our panel. Let me just add them in right now.
We'll just C-SPAN them in here.
Yeah, that's right.
Get all the talking heads.
So first, I'd like to introduce Adam Wallenta from who does Punk Taco. I met him. Well, I'll let him tell you what he does, but I ran into him my past two times at New York Comic Con, and I've heard great things about him, and that's why I talked to him. And ever since then, it's he's been a great guy to talk to, and so I'll let him speak more about himself and his. Because he's the creator opinion on the panel today.
Appreciate that. Thank you for having me. I'm the co-creator of Punk Taco, which is an all-ages graphic novel that I created with my son. It's about a sentient space taco that rocks out across the universe fighting evil. And I'm the co-writer and co-artist of that book, and I've done other things. I've illustrated, the Public Enemy comic book series. I've done work for Marvel, DC as a colorist, lots of things over the years. I'm just happy to be here. Thanks.
All right, glad to have you. And we also have a fellow. You also blog for the Times Union, correct?
I do. Yeah, it's one of my outlets. I do a weekly DVD home video release roundup, and then I do some interviews and stuff when the opportunity presents itself. I write for a couple other websites as well, and I host a podcast called After the Ending, which is a movie.
You are, and you are. All right, and I know that you're a big con guy, especially because I think we first met in the PR area, probably.
Yeah. Yes, I think we met here in Albany first, and then we got to know each other more at New York Comic Con, didn't we? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that. And I also know that you're big into the original art scene.
Yes, I am. I've actually been using quarantine time to organize my artwork out of boxes and envelopes and sleeves and into portfolios, which has been time-consuming and expensive, but well worth it.
So I guess the first question, since everybody knows that we are currently, well, those of us in New York are in lockdown, and you're in California, right, Adam?
Yes, yeah. We were some of the first to be locked down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They shut down San Francisco and the Bay Area pretty quickly. It's been like 2 months for us or something like that. Like my kids were on vacation for 2 weeks, and then they never went back to school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was in March. So, yeah.
I think my last day of work was like March 16th. Well, in the building. So I don't know.
March 12th. We're coming up on 2 months as well.
Yeah.
They're sending me out to San Francisco next week, surprisingly.
Wow. Yeah.
So that'll be fun.
It'll be something.
I can't imagine what it's like to fly right now.
I'll gonna find out.
Yeah. A lot of legroom, a lot of extra legroom you don't have to pay for. That's
yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
So this kind of came to my interest me because you guys probably heard that they went ahead and canceled San Diego Comic-Con, which is the big con on the West Coast, and even though New York Comic-Con is not till October, with the current situation in New York City being a hot spot, and it definitely doesn't meet one of the governor's criteria for reopening, I would say. So how about we just go around and everybody just give a quick opinion as to what you thought when you first heard the news about San Diego closing or not happening. We'll start with Mike Spring.
I guess when I first, what's funny is that I I had applied for my press badge that morning, for my press badge for New York Comic Con. I don't go to San Diego. It's a little too far for me to travel, but I had just applied for my press badge for New York, thinking like, oh, well, I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but I'd like to may as well get my press. This will be my 10th year going. So I want to get my application in, early, like I always do. And literally 2 hours later, they canceled San Diego. And I was like, that's not a great sign. And I just felt bad. I mean, that's a huge, huge convention. I know a lot of people that's like, I know how important New York is to me, just from a standpoint of getting away for a few days and geeking out and all that stuff. So I know it's really disappointing for a lot of people.
How about you, Adam? Have you had any cancellations for cons yet?
I was supposed to go to both WonderCon and San Diego just as a professional. And then, they were about to send out the badges, and then like that same week or whatever was when they canceled it. So I wasn't surprised though. Especially being here in California and how pretty strict they've been, it's right around the corner. It wasn't shocking,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so, New York and Baltimore, I was really hoping would still happen, but at the same time, I don't think it should. So, as much as I love New York and the past couple of years that we've had Punk Taco, we've sold out by Saturday. So it's been a great show for us. And I was looking forward to having Volume 2 ready for New York Comic Con. But it's right around the corner. It's going to come quickly, and it's not like this thing is going away, right? And I just don't think they're going to have time.
And do I remember? Am I remembering correctly that you just got a bunch of books in recently before everything hit for con season?
Yeah,
right?
the virus has really hurt me because we sold out of Punk Taco Volume 1, the first printing, with the exception of like 20 copies that I have for my personal collection. Finally, after almost 2 years of being independent with no distribution from Diamond, they came to me and we had a deal that they would distribute Punk Taco, starting with Volume 1, which I would have to reprint. So I don't know if you know how Diamond works, but basically it's like a gamble. So it's months in advance between the solicitation, and that means as a publisher, I have to kind of guess what the numbers will be, because the printing process alone takes 2 months, and then you have to ship it from wherever, whether it's in the US or China. In our case, it's more cost effective to go to China, but that takes like a month to ship. So long story short, we were supposed to be distributed by Diamond. I placed an order for 2,000 new copies of Punk Taco. And the week that we were in the first week or so we were in previews catalog is when the virus hit. Diamond shut down. And for a week or 2 weeks, they kept telling me, oh, no, we're going to still keep one warehouse open, and that's the warehouse that your books will be distributed from. And then I was getting the silent treatment, and then I went to my rep's boss, and he was like, no, we're not distributing any books. But at this point, the second printing of Punk Taco was already paid for, already at the printer being printed. And now instead of going to a warehouse, I'm getting 2,000 books sent to my doorstep with no distribution. Because now, even though that they're slowly starting to come back online, they've gone silent as far as communicating with me. So I have no contact with my rep, no contact with his boss. I have no idea if they're going to resolicit Punk Taco or what's going to happen. All I know is I have 2,000 books, 8 by 12 hardcover books at that. So it's not like a floppy. And now I have to go back to doing it all myself again until they communicate with me, which they have not done at all. And that's been really heartbreaking because it's one thing to distribute yourself, and that's fine, but it's still hard to get into stores that may not be open to buying copies through PayPal or personally buying them. So that's been tough. So now that and plus the conventions are all dead, I had several store signings lined up for New Comic Book Day. I had library visits planned. All that's gone. Everything's gone except the 2,000 books that'll be arriving in 19 days. So yeah, it's been rough. But
So,
we have the book for
Yanni.
sale on the website. So if anybody
Okay.
wants,
I'll let you plug that at the end. And
so I would like New York to happen, but at the same time, everybody's health is way more important. New York is a hot spot. Is anybody going to feel comfortable even going at that point to a crowded convention with so many people coughing?
Even if it's like things are dying down, it's like, hey, you know what goes great with a pandemic? Inviting 1,000 of my closest friends into a gigantically crowded convention center. That seems like a great idea.
Hugging and shaking hands and sweating and bumping into each other.
Plus, it draws people in from all over the world.
Right.
So you really can. So, Mike, Yanni, what was your what were your thoughts when you heard that San Diego was canceled? Even the Albany Con here was canceled and pushed back, and probably till November now.
We lost your sound, Mike.
Sorry. Hit my mute button again. I'm not surprised, just because of especially how close San Diego was, and New York. I mean, talk about a hot spot, the hottest spot. I'm very unsurprised, especially until we have more of a solution like on hand. I don't think there's going to be a lot of massive group stuff, especially something like the New York Comic Con or
how many people is it now? Is it 60,000 or 100,000?
It's over it's like 150 now, something
like
that.
Is it 150 now?
It's actually bigger than San Diego by the numbers, but it doesn't get the press that San Diego gets still.
Right.
The movie stuff.
That's too many people in one spot.
I mean, they're not even holding sporting events and stuff, and you figure like a con, it's that, except everyone's constantly moving around.
Right. And you can't help but bump into people at all. So.
And the stereotypical, even though it's stereotypical, then some people aren't the cleanest people anyway.
Well, hopefully that'll change now. Everyone just be a little bit cleaner from now on.
Right.
I don't know. You still have people that won't wear a mask.
True.
A lot of people around here, yeah.
But let's see. What do you think? When do you think cons, New York Con will come back? Will it be the same size? Will they have some sort of more structured to kind of hopefully prevent things from happening? A fatal case of the con crud.
I was talking to a friend of mine about this who comes with me to New York Comic Con every year, and I was saying, back in the early years of the con, I remember the first couple of years I went, it was in February instead of October. And I was wondering if this is all dying down by the end of the year, or they found some sort of vaccine or something, who knows what, if they might try and do one almost like a throwback New York Comic Con, like, hey, remember when it was February? We're going to try it again, just to sort of make up for the one, and then maybe do like a smaller one. They did also try a couple of years ago doing like a
special edition.
That was it.
That's because they messed up Artist Alley so bad or something, right? Didn't they try to do one just for mostly?
Yeah, it was just for comics art stuff for the most part, without all the celebrities, which isn't a bad idea. I guess it didn't do that well because they didn't bring it back. But I wonder if they might try doing something like that again. Or they might just skip it and wait till next year. It's hard to say, right? But
there's just so much planning involved, and then you have to worry about, are there hotels available because there's other events going on, if there are other events going on.
Plus,
right.
all their other scheduled events that were supposed to happen at later dates. It's like, do they still have that claim? Have they given it up because of this? Or it's like, is the Javits Center even available?
Right, car shows and other book shows and everything.
Yeah.
Now, have they stopped using it as a hospital?
I don't think they ever actually did. My wife was just telling me that they set it up, but they never actually used it. So I don't know how true that is or not. But
I think our peak wasn't as high as I think thankfully, as they originally projected.
Right.
Oh, so have you guys, heard anything about the virtual cons? Do you think that might be a, possible, not really a end-all solution, but maybe something that perhaps they'll explore.
What is a virtual con? Is it just this, but a celebrity's in there?
Yeah. I know. I was asked to do Kids Con, which is usually in New Hampshire, and it's a great show for people who do books that focused on kids. And they're doing that. I think it's next weekend or the 16th or something like that. And basically, they wanted us to create a video of us doing our sales pitch, talking to the audience like we're with them. It wasn't going to be live, and they were going to edit it all together, and then they were going to, I guess, have live segments as well, and go back and forth between the two. Unfortunately, the past 2 weeks I've been really sick, and my kids were sick. So I didn't get to record anything, but they're doing that, and I think it was a great idea just to keep people interested in. It's something to do. People are logging into streaming things all the time now. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to be the solution forever, because we all like to get together and look at original artwork and buy things like that. But for now, it's a good way to communicate with other like minds, I suppose.
Yeah,
Well,
I think.
oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, I've seen a bunch of them. I've seen the ads for a bunch of them. And some of them, like you said, Mike, do have it's a celebrity kind of like a live Q&A with a celebrity, and everybody who wants to watch can watch. I've seen some where they're charging and some where they're free. I know next week there's a Facebook group I'm in. They're doing a con, it's a virtual con. They actually have 6 or 7 name artists who are participating. I think they're going to be doing sketching and stuff. Now, how that's going to work exactly, I don't know. I would imagine I would say, hey, Adam, we're in the same Zoom room. Can you draw me a Punk Taco drawing? And then somebody will take my information and they'll mail it to me and I'll pay. I don't know.
Yeah.
How it's going to work.
It may be easier to get sketches from people you never got sketches from.
Right. That's one thing for people who don't necessarily come to your area. I think it's a nice stopgap measure. It's kind of like you said, Adam, people are watching streaming stuff all the time now. So it's kind of fun for people who want to do that. But I don't think it'll ever replace the real convention experience, because you want to meet the people, you want to see your friends, you want to buy stuff in hand, you got to look at it all. It's just not the same. I think if it's your kind of thing to do that, if you want to go watch the cast of Buffy talk about Buffy on a Skype call or whatever, that's great.
In that case, it's almost better, because you can't get with San Diego, you can't get into Hall H unless you wait for 6 hours in line. Now you don't have to wait in line. You could just sit in your own house in your underwear watching, the cast of Avengers or whatever.
But I think there's something to be said for that con experience of being in the same room with the celebrity that you worship. Even if you're 1,000 feet away and there's 700,000 other people between you and them, you're still I'm in the same room as Robert Downey Jr. I think, and there's always that hope that somehow you'll meet them, in the bathroom or between halls or something. I feel like that's a big part of it for people, is that chance, just even the chance to meet, one of your favorite creators or your celebrity. So watching them on a is cool. If you're, like I said, if you're a big fan of something. I mean, I've watched a few of these live concerts and stuff that people put on, but I don't think it'll replace that for people who really want to go to interact with their favorite creators. Because I think that's what conventions are all about, is interacting with people that you don't normally get to interact with.
Absolutely. I think of it from a parent perspective at the moment, because can't get out of the house, even before the pandemic, to go to a concert or see some things. It's wouldn't it just be great if it was just on the computer?
Sure. Absolutely.
I gotta get the kids to bed at 8. I'm not going out and staying at a concert till 2 a.m. What are you, crazy? I'm too tired. But yeah, you're absolutely right. There is that being in the same. There's nothing like being at a concert and being in the front row and being right there with the musician. So
yeah.
But at the same time, the older you get, you start to make exceptions. I just want to see him perform on the computer.
Well, I forget who was talking about it, but they were. Have you guys heard about the Cameo, where I guess you can pay celebrities to? I think the only comic book person on there now is Rob Liefeld. So $60.
They actually started doing, Hero Initiative started doing a bunch of them, comic creator Q&As and chats and stuff like that. They've been putting them up for the past couple of weeks. And some of them actually do include sketches from some of the artists. And actually, they did the Art Adams one, which was super low price compared to what his sketches go for. And they only did 4 people. And so it was sold out in about 12 seconds, but I was crushed. I would have totally paid what they were asking for that. But they have started doing about 10 or 12 creators at a time on Hero Initiative through Cameo, but they make it a longer thing rather than just where they record a message for you. It's an interactive, an hour-long Q&A or something.
Well, I could see something like that. It's like, say you pay, I don't know, let's say you want a Jim Lee sketch. He's doing sketches for, whatever his price is now. I don't know. He's out of my price range.
Yeah, I can't afford that.
But you get on Cameo with him for, let's say, and like Mike Spring, you were saying that, you get to see him, draw it, and then he signs it and somebody sends it to you. I could see, that would be interesting, because usually you don't get to see them working on it.
Right. And I think in that case, too, there's a little bit more of a personal connection because it'll be limited. Like, if it's me and 50,000 Buffy fans watching the cast on Skype, I'm not, but if it's, because like the Art Adams one was 4 people. So it's like, if it's me and 3 other people talking to Art Adams for an hour, there's value in that to me, because that's like this, right? It's like we're having a real conversation. If it's thousands of people, I don't get that connection. But if it's a smaller thing like that, I would totally do it. So I've been watching them. I haven't done any yet because I haven't found that right combination of somebody I'm a big fan of that I want to spend the money on, that also has a sketch involved, because I do collect the artwork. But I will hopefully. I really love them to offer another Art Adams.
It'll be interesting, like how long this goes on for will determine also how things change, right? Because taking it back to music, I'm 46. Like, I still remember going to the store and buying vinyl, or I could pick up an old vinyl that I had, and I remember the store. I remember it's all sensory. I remember the day, what the smell, the conversations I had with the record store owners. But now people buy music, and they don't have any of that, and it doesn't bother them.
You don't remember when you bought that Apple Music?
That digital Apple iTunes song. No, like people, kids nowadays.
The digital comics on the shelf.
Right. Yeah. I remember when I bought, Dark Knight and Watchmen and all these comics when I was a kid. But if people are buying things on Comixology, they don't have that same, sensory, tactile, the smells and everything. So, like, if this becomes their new convention, will they care if there's ever a big convention? I don't, But.
I mean, listen, if I'm being honest, I could do with a few less people in New York Comic Con. It's out of control. It is way too crowded for my liking.
Right.
That being said, I agree with what you're saying. I think there's that tactile sensation. I really don't foresee this taking the place of real conventions, though.
I don't think it's going to go on as long.
But people like them too much. They like that interactivity. They like buying. It's so much harder to buy stuff like subjective stuff like artwork and comics online versus when you can flip through, like Punk Taco, right? Like, I want to flip through it and see how it looks, and I can't. Right. You can go to your website. Please go to your website and buy it. I'm not saying that. You do better, right? You probably sell way more copies at a con than you do online. Am I wrong?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm an art collector as well, so I love going. And I could talk myself out of something online a lot easier.
Right.
Whereas if I'm in person and I see something and it's like, oh,
it's right there.
And then there's a guy hanging over me. I'm like, he wants it. I'm gonna get it. Right?
Or the store offers you like $20 off or something. You're like, oh, right. That's a bargain. I got to get that now.
Absolutely.
So, let's see. Anybody have any, other thoughts? I mean, what do you think that this will? Well, let's ask Adam. Do you think this, something like that would help or hurt the independent publishers? Because that's the thing I like about going to Artist Alley is you see a lot of people, small press, people that you wouldn't usually be, have the chance to see. Or sometimes when I do an interview, they have a nice cool banner like the Punk Taco one, and I want to go talk to them about that.
Yeah. It will definitely hurt a lot of people, myself included. Is just no getting around that, because, like you said, I've most of my sales at New York Comic Con are people that just walk by, and I give the hard sale, and they either come in and they learn more about the book and they're interested, or they're not. But I can't go around on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. I do, to an extent. I am an aggressive salesman because I have to be, because I believe in the book, and I'm proud of it, and I want people to know about it. So I do reach out to people that I may not be directly connected to on social media, but at this, it's not the same thing, and they're less likely to, be interested online. Whereas, in person, you could talk, you could be friendly, you could ask them how their day is, and you could have a real conversation. You can't really do as much of that with social media and get that human connection. So it's definitely going to hurt. But at the same time, it's hard to complain about it because people are dying, like people are sick, and
True.
you got to bring it to perspective. We're talking about comics and original art and seeing our friends. It's like boo-hoo, right? It's like if it's just this year, then great. Like hopefully it doesn't last beyond January, and next year everything restarts and we're all healthy. You don't want people getting sick. And I love New York Comic Con, but I personally at this point wouldn't feel safe going, because then I have to go home to my kids, right? And should I get sick, I was just sick, and it wasn't even the virus. It was like bronchitis or pneumonia, they said. So that was bad enough. Like, so, and that was 2 weeks of being like in agony. So like, I don't want to go to a convention and risk, in the epicenter of a pandemic, bringing that home to my kids just because I want to make some extra money and see my friends.
That's part of the problem with Comic-Con. It's in the epicenter of New York City, which obviously is problematic. So then, but then you wonder, okay, if they said, hey, we're going to hold New York Comic Con, I bet you 100,000 people would still happily tramp out there to see it, right? But is Jim Lee going to come, right? Are the TV stars who are all there going to come?
Yeah.
The cast of Outlander and the cast of Star Trek Discovery and all them, are they going to want to come out to the epicenter of, where thousands and thousands of people are getting hit with coronavirus and interact with?
They're not even filming right now.
Masses, so all the fans would probably show up, but who are they there to see? Because I'm guessing most of the media guests and most of the comics guests are not going to want to go, not this soon after it, unless it's just completely gone by then, which I don't see happening. So that's the thing, is they can say they're going to hold it, but who's going to be there to attract, the guests? I mean, the guests just, I don't see it happening.
Yeah. One thing, going back to your previous question, is about it hurting us, especially independent people, is hopefully if the convention is canceled, and especially, San Diego is canceled, that's a lot of money not being spent. I mean, comic fans go to San Diego, and I've displayed at San Diego, and they come up to the table and they're like, sorry, it's like the first day, sorry, I ran out of money. It's the first day. I understand you're paying $300 a night for a hotel, airfare, and all these other things. So hopefully the people who are really fans of comics and artwork, and not just, independent stuff, but everything, hopefully if they still have their jobs, if they've lost their jobs, and obviously whatever, don't even think about it. But hopefully if they're still fans and they still have income coming in, that they're online looking around and they're finding maybe guys like me, or at least they're on, bidding on comic books or original artwork, or doing something within the comic book community to spend some money, that if they have it. Because now you're not spending money on hotels, train fare into New York City or whatever. You may have a little extra money to spend buying comics, or exploring new independent books, or buying original artwork from somebody. So getting commissions.
If New York Comic Con doesn't go on this year, a lot of the comic artists do Black Friday sales with their sketches or art books. I was like, well, I'm going to take my budget for New York Comic Con, and because usually I'm so drained from Comic Con, when Black Friday comes around, I'm like, well, I wish I had some money to spend, but I spent it all at Comic Con.
Just think about the money on travel alone. Are you in New York? I'm
in New York. I'm in upstate, but so train. Even that, the hotel prices for New York Comic Con,
at least $200 a night. I mean,
usually that's if you want to have a toilet in somebody else's room.
Right.
300 basically is about the minimum now, and I split that with someone. You're still talking that's $500 out of my pocket, just to sleep somewhere,
And some people are parking, and it's $40-50 a day. So if you're saving that money and you still have a job,
right,
I hope that you're reaching out to your favorite artists, getting commissions, finding independent books that you may have heard of but you didn't have the extra money, or just buying some new comics online. Whatever. Yeah. Spend the money. Why not?
Stimulate the economy.
Right.
So Yanni, I know you're, with the times we've been at the shows, you're a big toy person, and I know that you buy a lot of toys, online. How about, the special? I don't think you buy like the special, limited edition New York Comic Con Funko. I don't know, pick your favorite obscure person.
Yeah, because I have to. Being like an obscure comic fan isn't enough. I have to buy like strange Japanese toys because I need to find the weirdest thing I can, apparently. But that is surprisingly slowed down. Like there's like Amazon, a lot of Amazon sellers are just gone. A lot of eBay sellers are just gone. I'm looking at stuff and it's like all the prices are outrageous because the shipping is wild now, especially from like international.
Yeah, international shipping is horrible.
Oh yeah.
I saw something, it was like that price is double what it normally is, and the shipping is just as much as like the actual thing itself now.
Right. I put Punk Taco on sale for $12 with free shipping right now in the US, but if I wanted to ship to Canada, it's like $60.
Yeah, Canada.
It's like I feel bad even telling people that. It's like there's nothing I could do about it. Canada was like $25-$30. It was Australia that was $60.
Canada, though, like, I mean, I'm in upstate New York, and I was trying to sell a book in a Facebook group, and I had two people who wanted it. They're both in Canada, of course. And I was like, okay, it's a $10 book, and then it was gonna be like $25 to ship it. And I was like, I don't even feel right asking you for that money. They were like, yeah, I don't want to spend that much. I'm like, I don't blame you. It's a $10 book. You're going to spend 3 times what it's worth just to ship it over the border, And I mean, it's literally going 5 hours north of here.
Yeah, when I did the first Kickstarter for Punk Taco, I had a lot of international supporters, and I tried to keep the shipping to a reasonable amount. And then I actually took a big loss because it ended up being a lot more. Like Germany was like $40, Australia was $60, Canada was $25-$30. It was I was losing money. So the second time around when I did Punk Taco Volume 2, I got like, I don't think I got any international orders. I just couldn't justify
it. Domestic only then, or did you?
I didn't say it, but I just think people they couldn't afford.
They got burned on the shipping the first time.
Because I had knowing what I paid on the first one, I had to raise the prices and be smarter about it. So, and even selling on directly from the website, like I said, contact me if you're international because I don't know exactly what it's going to cost because it changes all the time now. Mm-hmm. So I'll have to contact the post office and see what they're charging and go from there. But that's hurt sales a lot.
So I know Diamond's been down and DC's been announcing they're going through all these new distributors. I mean, that's going to change a lot of stuff for comic book stores. I'm imagining.
I question that though. I was talking to the couple of guys from my comic store today. Actually, Diamond's supposed to be opening back up again at the end of May. I think the first book's going to come in the 27th. I think the DC thing was a nice temporary stopgap, but they were telling me it was like a giant pain in the butt to order the books from them. Like there was no submit order book on the website page, so like they could put all the books in. There was nowhere to submit the order. Like they couldn't find. They said their website was terrible. I think most people, I owned a comic store for 8 years back in the day, in another lifetime, I remember I was around. I had my store when Marvel did the whole Heroes World thing. It's a complete nightmare. Like, as much as everyone complains about Diamond having a monopoly, it's so much easier just to get all your books from one place and just get one shipment and put one order in. Most retailers, I think, are not, except for those really hardcore, like political ones who are like, Diamond's got a monopoly, we've got to bring them down. I think most of your regular comic store owners just want it to be as easy as possible. And if they cannibalize and they go, oh, I'm going to get my DC from this, because that's what happened to me as a smaller store. So I got my Marvel from Heroes World. Well, that did reduce the amount of my Diamond order enough to affect my discount, right? Because they do their discount in tiers. So all of a sudden, instead of getting like a 50% discount, I was getting like a 47.5% discount from Diamond. So my profit went down because I had to also order Marvel. So I don't think most stores, this is my personal opinion. I don't think most stores are, I think temporarily they did it because they want to get comics in to sell. But I think most stores, as soon as Diamond's back up and running, are just going to be happy to have it all back in one place again. Again, just my theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, just more interested to see if just the option might help some places. But I mean, I'm not a retailer. I have no concept of how that business works.
Right.
Well, I've been doing a couple interviews like this with the local owners here in the Capital District, and I think they kind of seem leery about it too. But I guess they've had their issues with Diamond too.
Sure, everybody has issues with Diamond. I mean, they're not a perfect distributor at all, but I think the systems are in place, right? You get missing books, you get damaged books, whatever. You know what you're dealing with Diamond. With a new distributor, it's kind of like, okay, that's great, it's shiny and new, until the first day when my box of Batmans doesn't show up, and I call them and they go, "Oh, too bad." You know what I mean? Right. Then you're like, well, now I wish I stuck with Diamond, right? Because I know what Diamond would do about it. Again, that's just how I see it. But I
mean, I've been publishing books since 1996, and I've wanted more distribution for independents. And every convention, there's always somebody that comes around saying, "Oh, we've got the new thing, and we're going to do this, and join us." And I'm like, yeah, and nothing ever comes of it, ever. Since 1996 as a publisher, I've never had any real alternative to Diamond, and it sucks because just what happened to me, they go silent, they don't communicate, they don't care because I'm not bringing in millions of dollars for them,
right?
So there's nothing I could do about it. And if there was another distributor that I could trust, yeah, I would use them. But unfortunately, like you said, from the retail level, you want to get your books, you're making payments. But as a publisher, now I got to send them books and I got to worry about getting paid. At least with Diamond, I know that it's going to happen. If they were doing their job properly. It's a mess. It sucks that there's only one distributor, and after all these years, nobody's been able to figure out how to compete or just get something up and running where it's people trust it enough.
Right.
So, and that's not going to happen in the next 6 months.
Probably. I mean, if Marvel couldn't make it work back in the 90s, I question whether these couple of upstart little companies are going to be able to take any real market share away from Diamond.
No. Especially like you said, stores want their discounts and they want as much of a discount as they can get.
Sure.
So,
understandably so.
Yeah.
So, Mike, I see as you motion to your Funko collection. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, when you go, do you stand in the line for the?
The 1 year I got into the Funko booth in the lottery, because now you have to have a lottery. You have to win a lottery just to get in. But then they stopped letting press enter the lottery, so I couldn't even get in anymore. I went through a hardcore pop collecting phase for about a year or two, because I do really like them. I think they're really fun. They're fairly inexpensive. I like the way they stack, so I can they're really packed. The problem with action figures in general is you gotta have a place to put them all, right? You gotta have shelves or whatever, and then they fall over. And
I don't know what that's like.
What'd you say?
I'm just like, I don't know what that's like.
Yeah, right, exactly, right. I like these because they're stackable, but then like everything, they killed it because it's there's so many. Every convention has 37 exclusives, and there's exclusives at every store you've never even heard of. Like, okay. So I stopped collecting them. This is kind of like my leftover remnants. I kept out like 50 or 60 of my favorites, and the rest of I kind of got rid of. But I've done it's a madhouse, the Funko booth at New York Comic Con. It's insane. I mean, it's ridiculous. People are mobbing the booth, trying to buy them off of you as you're walking out of the booth. When I did my 1 year of it, and I spent a lot of money, but I turned around and sold one of the figures for $100 the second I walked out of the booth. Nice. That I paid $15 for. So I mean, that was cool. Paid for a big chunk of the stuff I had just bought. But they'll just offer those online, and the Funko collectors will still probably, because that's what they did for San Diego. All the San Diego exclusive ones, they just offered them online through the stores, because most of them are shared exclusives, So it's like, San Diego exclusive, but also with Barnes & Noble or whatever. So they'll just offer them that way, I think. So it's going to, I don't know. I don't think it's going to hurt them a whole lot because they're a big enough company. But the toy collectors who go there, although I think maybe for some of them it'll be a blessing in disguise because it's so hard to even get into the booth now. If you don't win that lottery, you got no shot. They will not open it up to the public. People line up for hours and they're like, "Come on, man, can I just get in and buy one?" and whatever. And they will not. If you don't have that lottery, then they go right to your badge, right? So if your badge doesn't scan, you ain't getting in. So it's pretty crazy.
Well, I don't want this to go too long. So why don't we just, in closing, go around if you have, something you'd like to talk, like to pimp out or, a site or something like that. Also, a prediction as to whether or not the con will happen this year and if it doesn't, the thing you'll miss the most. So let's start with Yanni.
I don't know if I was going to end up going back this year if the schedule worked out, but it would have been. I'll take any opportunity to get a chance to talk to Chris Claremont. And I'll miss having that opportunity this year.
Okay.
But I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay. Mike.
My prediction is I just don't see it happening as much as I want it to happen with every fiber of my being. But even if it did, then I don't even know if I would go because of the whole coronavirus thing. You know what I mean? And I go every year. I love it. But I don't know. It'll really depend on what the situation looks like in October, but I don't see it happening. What I'll miss the most, I go as press. So I go and I do a lot of interviews, usually with the TV and movie personalities. And I forged a lot of really great friendships with the other press people. Like, it's amazing how quickly you become friends when you're sitting around a round table with 6 other journalists waiting for, Mike Tyson to show up for an interview, and you're waiting for half an hour and you're telling all your war stories and stuff. Like, it's you bond, you bond a lot and you make some really good friendships. And that's always my favorite part of the show, is hanging out with, catching up with people I usually only see once a year in person, so that's definitely what I'll miss is hanging out with those people.
Okay. Adam.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't want them to rush into anything. Again, I love going to the convention. It's great for my business. It's great to see friends. I love meeting new people. But in the grand scheme of things, if it's not going to be safe, then it's not that important. So yeah, hopefully we get through this, and then next year everything is back to somewhat normal. In the meantime, if you are looking for something new, an all ages graphic novel, I said it before, I got my book Punk Taco. You could go to www.punktaco.com, check us out. I have a sale going on now with free shipping. I'll be shipping out the new batch of books at the end of the month when they arrive. I appreciate everybody's support. And I hope to see everybody back at, back in New York Comic Con next year. Again, like even if it does happen, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable going, especially knowing that I have to come home to a family. So I just hope that if it does happen, I hope that the people that go are safe and, protect themselves and take care of each other. So.
Okay. And for me, I was kind of probably wasn't going to go this year anyway, even though I put in for my application for press. I wanted
it's nice to be wanted.
I know it's nice to have the recognition. No, I'm trying to pay down some stuff, so that would be a big chunk of money that I would not have to spend. But I don't think it's going to happen, mainly because, like I said earlier, it draws people in from all over the world. You can't really, track, who's feeling well, who's not. You can't social distance, and it totally doesn't meet any of the criteria that Governor Cuomo is set up for, even for reopening, the regions. I mean, New York City and down there, is going to take longer than, even here in the Albany area, we're still in the high risk area, according to, what the governor's office, considers to be high risk. So that's why I'm saying that I really doubt that even the Albany Comic Con will happen till November, if it even happens again this year. Because even though that's a smaller local con, you still get a lot of people. It's a very very compact space.
Comic fans and professionals complain about comic crud after a normal year. Is anybody going to want to risk getting something that can actually kill you?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah,
unless they're promised a free ventilator.
Right.
Oh, too soon.
Company I work for, we're making them right now, or getting ready to.
Oh, you're switching production, or?
We're a small joint, but they've slapped together like a prototype, and we're just working the final kinks out. We got FDA approval.
Wow.
Nice.
It's cool to be involved with a company that's doing it. I'm not doing it myself, but it's just cool.
Can we buy stocks? You got a hot tip for us or something?
We're not publicly traded.
Oh, okay.
So, Mike, what were your things that you write for again? Your where people can find your work.
I do the movie blog on Times Union. I write for liveforfilms.com, which is England's #1 film site. And I was actually just about to launch my comic book Kickstarter at the end of April. I had it all planned. I had a whole bunch of stuff in the works for it. And then when this all hit, I said, well, since so many people are out of jobs, it seems like the wrong time to be asking everyone I know for money. So I've pushed it back to the fall now. But I do have a comic that I've written that is mostly done being drawn by an artist that I found. It's called Red, White, and Broke. And it's about a superhero who is broke, basically. So there's a lot more to it than that. But anyway.
Well, sounds good.
Yeah.
Just as someone who's done Kickstarter and publishes, I mean, I wouldn't feel so bad if you started it sooner than later, only because, like I said, people are going to be home. They're going to have some extra money if they have jobs, so
that's the balance. I keep hitting people on either side of it. So I have another friend who said the same thing as you, right? Like, oh, people are looking for stuff to read right now. And I'm like, right. But also a lot of people are out of work. So I'm like,
I would. Yeah, it's probably better to hold off because the book's not done. I would say if the book was done and you would ship it out to them in the next couple months.
Yeah, that's the other thing is I still have to get it printed and everything, and I'm worried about the delays in that. So I figure,
you're probably better off.
Launch party, a lot, people live and in person, to kick it off and all that. So it's I can't even do any of that stuff now. Right. So
yeah, it's probably the smarter thing to do.
It gives me extra time to get ready anyway. But so that is one thing I'm writing that'll be out there in the future. So.
Well, as we've talked before, when you're ready to do that, you're more than welcome to come on and talk about that.
I will definitely take you up on that. Believe me.
And it'll probably be in this format because this is a whole lot less work for me than probably the people that when I send them questions and they have to type it out and then
right. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. This is also much better than the what is that restaurant we were freaking recording at?
Yes. World of Beer.
Yeah, World of Beer. The quality's much better here.
Yes. And we don't have to deal with random trivia night.
Yeah.
So again, I want to thank you guys for participating, and hope you guys stay safe, stay well, you and your families, and hopefully one day in the near future, maybe we'll meet at another con.
We're all hanging out at a con again sooner rather than later. That would be nice.
I'd like to buy some new comics again.
Right, exactly.
There will probably be an excess of alcohol in Baltimore and New York City, in the fall.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, thank you guys, and send me your links, and I'll include them in the show notes. And that way, if people are interested, and they should check them out, then they can go and do that. By the way, Adam, I did the Punk Taco sticker I got from you last year.
Yeah,
it's on my water bottle. So
nice. Thank you.
So unfortunately, it's in the other room, and I'm not going to leave just to go get it. So
I appreciate it. That's a great spot for it.
And Adam, if you ever have anything that you want to talk about, you're more than welcome to, let me know, and we'd be glad to help get the word out.
Thank you.
To the 5 people that probably
5 people know 5 people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's just like the
I was going to say
coronavirus.
Yeah.
Well, it was just like the time with the one press conference when Cuomo was talking about how the virus spreads, and it's like this, like the scene from The Office where he's chose Mike, or not Mike, but Steve. Well, yeah, Mike, that he was involved in a pyramid scheme. One person gets 2 people, and then 2 people get 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how the virus spreads. All right. Like I said, stay safe and have a good evening. And
Thank you.
Thanks, Chad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Have a good night.